All right, if you can't see this, you can follow along for the most part on your handout. So I know it's pretty small, and I'm sure you guys at home too, it's pretty small for you guys. So I do apologize, but we'll make sure you get that handout. So welcome. My name is Sara, Sara Hanes, if you don't know me. But today we're going to be going over reading food labels and choosing nutrient-dense foods. So how many people, when you go to the grocery store, you automatically, everything you pick up, you turn around, you look at the nutrition label? You see a raise of hands. Okay, all right. So we're at least looking. Okay. So we're trying to eat more nutritious foods. We want to make sure that we're, watching, what types of foods we're eating. So processed foods are required by the law to contain a package labeling describing the serving size, which you can see at the very top of your food label, the serving size. So it'll tell you how many servings are in a package, how much you can eat in one serving. It also has to tell you the basic nutrition information. So our basic nutrition information, we're going to start at the top of the label. You have your calories. So your calories are important for our weight factor. No matter what amount of work you do, it's always calories in versus calories out, or what is going to equate to, weight loss and maintaining your weight. So if we're in the gym and we're doing all this work, we're, in there 5 days a week, we're working hard. We weren't going to see results, but we're going to see the most results when we include our nutrition into our exercise plan. Okay. And I'm not saying you have to sit around and just eat carrots and celery, and bland chicken. If you like that, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But we can still enjoy good foods that we want to eat as well. So moving down, our nutrient contents, we're going to start out with fat. So you're going to see on your handout, the total fat there is going to be the next component. And with all of these ingredients here with the fats, you can see there's a couple different options. You'll see on some labels, you have saturated fat, trans fat, you have poly and monosaturated fats. Okay. Fat is good for you. There are good types of fat out there. Consuming adequate amounts of fat, protein, vitamins and minerals, carbohydrates, fiber. Did I say vitamins? I think I said vitamins. Are all good for our body. So the vitamins are good for our eyes and our skin. Vitamin A, vitamin C is good for your immune system. Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on the salt a little bit there. Apologize. So that's all the nutrients that's labeled there. You also have sugars. So we're going to touch on all of this, okay? Not going to skip over anything. But the first thing I want to start with is the ingredients list. So you'll notice when you pick up, a pack of lettuce, okay? Flip it over, you look at the ingredients. What's the ingredient? Lettuce. Okay. Pick up a box of cookies. You're going to flip it over. Is there going to be like one or two ingredients? Probably like 132, right? Like some we can't. And some you can't pronounce, right? So when we're looking at the ingredients list, the ingredients that are most towards the top are what's most abundant in that food. Okay. So this one here, this example here, for instance, says whole grain oats. So the most abundant nutrient in this package of food is whole grain oats. Okay, so the ingredients that are at least the first three highest are what are contained the most in that food. Does that make sense? I don't know if they can. Okay, you can see. All right. So we're going to start at the top with the fats. Okay. So can anybody think of a healthy fat? A fat that you think is healthy? Avocados. Okay. Anything else?
Olive oil.
Olive oil. Okay. How about an example of maybe a fat that's not so healthy?
Like trans fats?
Yeah. What was that? Corn oil. Okay. How about thinking about when we're eating a piece of meat? We have that beef fat or all the chicken fat. Now, I'm not saying that you can't eat that. I'm just saying that it's not as healthy because it contains those fats that oh my gosh, the trans fats that aren't as healthy for you. Okay. I want you to take note that on the package labeling, when you flip your package over and you're looking,
Sorry.
okay, and you're looking at your fats section, okay, of the nutrition label, if the product contains 0.5 grams, lower than 0.5 grams per serving, the manufacturer is not entitled to contain that on the nutrition label. So they don't have to claim that at all.
0.5
or lower.
grams.
Yes. On the nutrition label for the fats, it says total fats. If it's anything that's less than 0.5 a gram. There's chairs over here if you'd like to grab a chair. Okay. And that information should be on the packet as well.
You look so fancy.
I know she should be up there.
Come some more. I would bring you my seats.
Now, if the product does have partially hydrogenated oils, then it has to, and it contains the trans fat, they have to label that.
Now, that's bad. Partially hydrogenated oils. All
Yeah,
bad.
they're not good for you.
No nutritive value
No
at all.
nutrient value at all. Correct. Good job on that. So you'll see in the handout, there are a couple other options for unhealthy fats. So like sticks of butter is not the healthiest. And when I'm saying unhealthy, they're okay in moderation. Okay. Everything is not so bad in moderation. We just want to be aware of what we're putting into our bodies. We want to be aware of what we're cooking with, aware of what we're eating, aware of what is in the foods that we're choosing. Okay. So moving on with ingredients that are in the food. So whole grains, like I said, with this one here, whole grains is listed at the very top of the ingredient list. So that means the product is 100% whole grain. Okay, so this is 100% whole grain oats is the first ingredient in this product. So that means it is 100% whole grains. That makes sense? Okay. If it's listed as the first and second ingredient, then it should still be very high up on the whole grain spectrum. Okay. Examples of whole grains would be brown rice, oatmeal, popcorn, quinoa, whole wheat, bread, pastas, or cereals, which we'll get into cereals, and wild rice. Moving down on the list here, we're gonna look at our carbohydrate section. So just so you know too, with the calories, what makes up our total calories is our protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So there's an equation. I'm not going to weigh you down with the equation because not everybody will get it the first time. I didn't. But if you want the equation of how you can add up your protein, carbs, and fats to find the calorie count, I can give you that equation then. Okay. I will personally give it to you. I'm not going to do it right now. All right, so added sugar. So we want to look for added sugars in our ingredient list. And I know on your handout, there should be a big list of the way companies can stick in added sugars in there with the names that they put on the ingredient list, okay? So these are going to be especially like packaged food, sauces, crackers, pizza. The higher up the added sugar. So if you can look at your label on the front again, you'll see it says carbohydrates, dietary fiber, sugar, and then it'll say if it includes additional sugar. Okay, if there's added sugar in it. So we're just talking about the sugar at the moment. Okay, total sugar, right? So the added sugars can go by a lot of different names, and we'll get to that chart below. But they like to hide them, and you might not expect some of the names of how they're hiding the sugars. Not all sugar is bad because our body does run on sugar. We need sugar for energy. That's how our bodies function and burn energy off of sugar. Now, there are 3 different types. I typically go off of 2 types, but someone requested to know what sugar alcohols are. So I'm going to say that there's 3 types right now. Okay. But the first type is natural occurring sugars. Can anybody think of, what do you think of when you think of natural, when I say natural occurring sugars?
Like fruit.
Yeah, good job. Like fruit. So sugar, yeah, sugar is sugar, but it gets processed in our body a little bit differently, the different types, okay? So natural occurring sugars, fruit, milk, and there's other nutritious beverages that have natural occurring sugar in them, okay? So not all sugar is bad. So, no, I forgot I had more slides. I'm just talking. I'm just forgetting about all my slides. Sorry, guys.
Get it down. Get it down.
Well, you did, but it's okay. Sorry, guys.
At least I did something I'm good.
Okay, own it. Okay. So hidden names over here, healthy fats. Where are we at? Sugars, added sugars. Okay. Yep. So sugar alcohols, I have some questions on this. So sugar alcohols are neither a sugar or an alcohol, believe it or not.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're synthetically produced by like fruits and vegetables. So it's a man-made substance. Is what a sugar alcohol is. So when you look at ingredient labels, if you look over here, there might be some on here. Yep. So all of your ingredients, like your sugar ingredients on your list that end in also like an OL. So on here we have like maltitol, there's erythritol, I think what's another one? So, xylitol. So the ones ending in all are going to be your sugar alcohols that you're going to find in your foods. They do have less calories than sugar. They do get processed differently than regular sugar. They do not spike insulin levels. So that's the good thing with them. So they're less in calories. They don't spike your insulin levels, so they're not going to produce more glucose. And I will explain some of that down the road here in our talk. Glucose with sugar. So it's not that sugar alcohols are bad. The only downfall of them is if you're eating them in abundance, they can cause gastrointestinal issues within people. So stomach pain, bloating, diarrhea. So if you are going more of like a keto diet, be wary in the beginning, because if you're going towards foods that have more sugar alcohols in them, just to kind of reduce calories, since the keto diet is a higher fat diet, you can experience that stomach pain, bloating, and discomfort there in the very beginning until your body might regulate and get used to it. It may not. So just be aware. A lot of companies, if you're going like Diet Coke, where you're going with like a 0 sugar, is going to have those sugar alcohols in there to add some flavor, because if they don't add that stuff, they're going to taste like crap, to be point blank. Okay, so they have to add those things to entice the consumer taste wise. Okay, do you have any questions on the sugar alcohols? No. Okay. Fiber. Let's talk about fiber. So on your ingredient list, on the front of your nutrition label, fiber is under the carbohydrates. Okay. There's 2 forms of fiber. So there's soluble fiber, which is like a gel-like material. It dissolves in water. And it is good for helping to lower your blood sugar, lowering your cholesterol levels. It helps level out your glucose levels. And it's found in mainly like your whole grain foods, like your oats, rice, I think also citrus fruits, teas, some vegetables like corn, barley, apples. And there's also insoluble fiber, which this one promotes healthy digestive system. So it increases the bulk of your stool so that you can have healthy poo-poos. Okay. Maybe not eating enough. I don't know. So people that have constipation issues, I know for myself, when I was competing, I was on a very strict diet, so I didn't have a lot of regularity in my diet. So I would go 1 week, I would look like I was 3 months pregnant, and then 2 days later, I was fine. I was just having gastrointestinal problems because I wasn't eating a lot of fiber. I wasn't having a lot of those foods that had fiber in them to help regulate my system. So make sure that you're getting some of those. A lot of the benefits here of fiber, again, they can help normalize your bowel movements. So if you're eating more fiber, so like leafy greens, making sure that you're getting in the leafy greens. Also, I said apples, cauliflower, green beans, potatoes, vegetables, all the foods in the aisles that you don't have to look at the nutrition label because you know what's in it. I see it. They help maintain, obviously, healthy bowel health. So colorectal cancer and diverticular cancer. Sorry, I have a hard time pronouncing that one. Fiber is very helpful with those two. Lowering cholesterol levels. We're talking about heart healthy foods this week in the month of February. So fiber is a very heart healthy food. Helps to keep the cholesterol levels low, reducing your blood pressure and inflammation as well. Helps to control your blood sugar levels. So if you would have a lunch higher in fiber, if you are one of those people that towards the end of the day, like the end of the afternoon, you tend to have that like crash at the end of the day, or you feel like really hungry and you want some sweets or something like that, adding some fiber to your lunch is going to be helpful with that because it's going to help level out those blood sugar levels throughout the day. So that way you're feeling full, you're feeling satisfied. You're not having that up and down spike and crash of the blood sugar levels spiking and dropping. Okay. And then also just helps with maintaining a healthy weight. So protein and fiber are foods that are like filling foods. They make you, they call them satiety, makes you feel fuller longer. So making sure that you're getting in adequate amounts of fiber in your diet as well as protein will help you feel fuller longer. Excuse me 1 second. No problem. Any questions thus far?
How much fiber would you say you should have?
It differs a little bit from men to women, but for women, about 20 to 25 grams per day. So you can kind of stretch that out. As long as you're actively thinking about getting fiber into your diet, if you don't meet that level every day, I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything wrong with that. If you go above that, you may notice that you are going to the bathroom a little bit more, or you may have some stomach discomfort, some bloating, those types of things because you're introducing a little bit too much to your system. So I would just be aware of that. There are a lot of options out there too. In the cooking aisle, you can, flax seeds are high in fiber, and chia seeds. So you can grind them up and put I will buy like brown flax seed and I'll put that in my oatmeal. You can't taste it. You can see that they're in there. Adding them to smoothies, those types of things to where you can just add like a little bit in, get that little extra boost for yourself. Okay. Superfoods. Has anybody heard of superfoods before? No? Okay. That's okay. So superfoods, I have some pictures up here of some, and we have some examples. You'll also see them on your handout too. But superfoods are accessible foods that everyone should have access to in their local grocery store. They aren't nutritionally recognized as a category of foods. So there's no, specific foods that need to be met, to be listed as a superfood. Hi. If you want to grab a chair, are you taking the are you here for the? Yeah. Well, we doing our workout. So they're basically natural foods that are especially nutrient dense, generally being lower in calories. Okay, so you got, I know when you think of like beans, you're like, well, they're not lower in calories, but they are higher in antioxidants, and protein, fiber. So they do have that those extra benefits in them. They're also, most of the foods are colorful. They're not only for vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, but they can help boost your immune system. They all have different properties, but overall, you're going to notice that our superfoods are good for heart health, strong immune system, cancer prevention, reduced inflammation, and lower cholesterol. Overall, your health is best supported by eating a variety of nutritious foods every day, including all or some of the foods on this list as a part of your balanced diet. But our main focus should always be on balancing our diet with fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and whole grains. So just to run down through the list here of some examples of our superfoods, we have beans like kidney, pinto, navy, and black beans. Our dark leafy greens, as we talked about before, that have the fiber. So those two have fiber too. Citrus fruits, grapefruits, oranges, lemons, limes. You got your berries, tomatoes, your fish that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, like the salmon, the tuna, your mackerel. And always go for, like, I don't want to say tilapia is bad, but I would rather see you choose a better fish, because tilapia is somewhat of a man-made fish. It's a cross. They're not just, they're farm raised. They're not out in the ocean anywhere. So I'd rather see you choose a wild caught type variety of fish, if you're going to choose a fish, because it's going to have the good healthy fats in it, the higher protein count. Nuts and seeds, whole grain oats, quinoa, barley, farro, and then you got your milk and your yogurt. You want to look for yogurt products that are lower in fat and added sugar. One thing I do with yogurt is I like to buy plain Greek yogurt, and you can even buy the low fat. You turn it over, the ingredients are literally what, milk, cream, and maybe some salt. Okay, and I'd rather. Well, with my nutrition clients, I like to tell them, if you try that, get a big tub of it, you can make it different every single day. You can put honey on it, which is a natural sweetener. You can put maple syrup on it, which is a natural sweetener. You could do some granola, some fruit, chia seeds. The options are endless. Next time you go to the grocery store, flip over a yogurt container, just take a look, see what's on there. And I'm not saying that every single thing, every option you choose has to be 100% the best. The main goal of today is just making us aware of the foods that we're putting into our bodies, and the way that the food industry get around tricking us into what we're thinking we're eating is healthy, but might not really be. So real quick, here in the last 5 minutes, I'm just going to take a look at some food labels. So knowing your food labels is really important, because a lot of consumers can get tricked on the front of the package claims. There's a number of stores and foods that we're going to meet our dietary preferences, such as fat-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, organic, vegan. So a lot of the information can be confusing. So the health claims on packages are designed to catch our attention, right? They want to meet our needs. They're trying to catch our attention and be convenient for us. Some of the most deceiving ones are light. When you see light on the package, look carefully, because instead it could mean that there's there could be added sugar in there. It's light. Well, what's light about it? Typically it's watered down, or it's just a regular version watered down, or they snuck in some fake sugars in there to make it light, but it added 15 more ingredients, what's that? That
When they say light, is it just sugar only, or is it?
it could be light, it could be, yes, it could be light. Most of the times they put low fat. But light just, I think typically is overall lighter on the ingredients. So the calories are less because they're adding less, less sugar, maybe less fats, overall. And then you might see made with whole grains. Have some. So here, made with whole grains, okay? When we look at the nutrition label, the first ingredient here says enriched flour. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients down, we see whole wheat flour. So how much whole grain do you think's really in there?
Not very much.
Not very much, not very much. So predominantly, when you were looking at the whole grain too, enriched flour is a pulverized version of what at some point may have been a whole grain, but it doesn't contain every part of the grain kernel, which is what makes a product whole grain. So it has to contain the whole grain kernel, which would be like wheat, rice, oats, or corn. Those would be your options for whole grain, not enriched flour. Okay. So looking at this, we can tell that, and just so you know, Cheez-Its had lost a lawsuit and they had to discontinue this item because they listed as whole grain and they are blatantly lying about it. So you probably won't see those on the store shelves anymore. Okay, there's a lot. If you Google a lot of foods for health claims, there's been a lot of lawsuits and foods discontinued. Another one here we have is the natural claim. Oh, it's all natural. It's all natural apple. Look, it's got fruit on the label. Okay, it's got to be natural. It's got fruit on the label. Apples are natural, right? Well, predominantly they're marketing all natural with pictures of fruit on them. Yet, if you look at the label, how much juice is in there? 10%. 10%. The first ingredients are water and sugar. So, how many carbs are in there? 60 grams of carbs. 59 grams of that drink is sugar. And I can just, from basic knowledge, I know that an apple does not contain 59 grams of sugar or carbohydrates. It doesn't necessarily mean that the product resembles anything natural. It just simply indicates that at one point the manufacturer worked with a natural source like apples to make the product. So there is some apple in there because it says apple and pear juice concentrates. So, you do have a little bit, 10%. So that's why it's important. We see these labelings, we want to flip it over and use our knowledge to look what the label's actually telling us. All right. So next here we have some sour cream, reduced fat. Okay. So I have the label for each one. This is all natural, full fat sour cream. Okay. This is fat-free sour cream. I know you can't really see the ingredient list over here, but it's right here. Sorry. This is the list for the all natural. We've got cultured grade A milk, cream, and enzymes. This is the list for the fat-free. So they had to add all this extra stuff just to make it fat-free. So when we think about it, if we're gonna have a dollop of daisy on our taco or whatever we're having, would you rather just have, in the end of it, would you rather just have the all natural, get it over with? We're gonna add all this. Are you gonna add this dried corn syrup, multidextrin artificial color xanthan gum, vitamin A palatamate, I don't even know what that is, and a trivial source of fat. So you take the pick. Take the pick. Again, one more here. Yeah, one more. Sugar-free. We got our sugar-free claims. So I added that hidden sugars label there for you again. So sugar-free, the FDA defines it as sucrose. So it can, if it just contains any other source of sweetener instead of sucrose, sugar, it's fair game and it can be called sugar-free. As long as it doesn't have sucrose, which is the natural word for sugar, it can be labeled as sugar-free. They're allowed to come straight out and say that it can, that it contains sugar. It may use all kinds of clever names, including sucrose, fructose, glucose, solids, barley melt, corn syrup, solids, dehydrated cane juice. The list goes on. Here's your list for sugar-free over here. Your first ingredient is xylitol, which is that sugar alcohol, which isn't necessarily horrible for you. But unbleached, enriched flour. How do we enrich flour? Please tell me. Somebody know? Anybody know? I don't know either. But anyway, so this whole list of ingredients here for it to be sugar-free. My main point here is just because the food labels contain a specific claim to contain a specific nutrient, they are associated with risks, of disease and supposed health benefits as a whole. So I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. The basic rule of thumb is 80% of the time, let's try to put real whole foods into our in our bodies, fruits, vegetables, lean meats. And the best way to avoid these deceptive labels entirely is to focus on shopping, on the outside of the store. Have these things if you want them. Just keep in mind moderation, okay? And pay attention to serving size. I know it's easy. I've done this in the past too. You buy a pack of Oreos on a Friday. Next thing you know, Sunday they're all gone. Where'd they go? I ate them. Okay, let's be honest. Be honest with myself. So let's pay attention to serving sizes too. It's hard sometimes to have that willpower, but in the end game, 200 calories in one serving versus eating the whole container. We might have just ate our whole day's worth of calories. So ways that we can, some shopping tips I have for you are just, when you go to the grocery store, try buying foods in bulk. So, like rice, beans, oats, lentils, those kind of things that can help beef up meals. Buy fresh food as often as possible. Don't go buying a whole bunch of, don't leave here and just go buy the whole produce department and then it goes bad in the fridge. Like have a game plan of what you're going to use, what you're going to eat. And then just make sure that you're turning a package label over and taking a look, I like rule of thumb is if it has 10 ingredients or less and I can make out most of those ingredients, then I'm going to go ahead and, enjoy myself. But let's just be aware of what we're putting into our bodies. And go from there. Yes.
So frozen vegetables, would that be as good as fresh or?
A little bit of the nutrients comes out because it's frozen, and then when the water comes out of it while cooking, it's just as good. It's just as good. However, you're gonna get the vegetable in is what I'm happy to hear.
What about the canned vegetable? What about that?
Sometimes with canned vegetables, they can put added salt in there because they need to add those preservatives to keep it fresh. But they do have a lot of options out there to get no salt added. And sometimes sometimes I'll strain my vegetables, like I'll dump the water out and the liquid out. And then I'll put water through it just to kind of rinse the extra salt off. You don't have to do that. That's something I do. I'm just giving a recommendation if anybody's interested in that. So, yeah. But frozen, fresh, same with fruit. Frozen fruits just fine. The canned fruits you want to keep an eye on because they will add extra sugars in there with this. They'll add syrups to kind of keep them fresh and preserved. So you just want to kind of keep an eye on that, because that will add extra sugar and calories. Yes,
My husband and I have a debate on the sweeteners,
that,
like the sugar packets and the pink ones and the blue ones and the yellow ones and the green ones, like,
which one's best?
right.
Um,
Yeah, right.
I would say probably, I would go more so with like the more natural current, so like, I would say go with the sugar instead of like
The
fake
chemical
stuff.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're choosing the fake stuff, I've used it before, I preferred stevia, just because it was.
Plant,
it
that's
comes
like
from-
plant-based,
Yes,
right, yeah.
yes, yeah.
But.
Thank you.
If you're using a tablespoon or two of it, I mean, don't go psychotic with it, like, I can't have this in sugar, you know? We still want to enjoy our lives, you know? So it's just stuff that isn't so healthy on the nutrition label, we're just eating it more so in moderation, and just being aware of what we're eating. Any other questions? All right, who's staying for the workout?